I was born and brought up partly in Nyeri, and I have schooled in different schools, but I would say my primary school, that is, I was in different schools, but finally I ended up at Reverend Muhoro School for the Deaf. That's a high school, it's a national school for the deaf, where that was my first time to interact with the deaf people. It's not because I was deaf, I never went there because I was deaf. I found myself, there was an issue at home that my parents were not able to support me to go to high school, the school I was admitted to join. And so I went there for one term. I schooled, and then I had to break again because they couldn't raise my school fees. So I stayed at home for 2 years, then went back. And why I went back to the same school was because I was looking at the gap, that the years that I had lost within. So I thought the best thing was to go to a school that they already understood me, and at least they knew my background. So that's how I joined the deaf world. It was not easy. It's not like I just joined the school and entered into the deaf world. The first few months, or the first few, I would say the first term especially, I never wanted anything to do with them. Actually, I was bitter. I was bitter because I wanted to join my school. It was Chinga girls. Of course, I needed to be that girl, you know. But that's why I didn't want to be in that school. That's one. Number two, I was feeling like these people don't understand where I'm coming from. And I had a lot of bitterness why my parents were not able to take me to school. So with that, I was feeling I didn't fit in their world. But somehow they showed me a lot of love. Then I didn't know sign language. I didn't even have interest. But the way they kept coming to me, actually my sign name, when you join in the deaf world, they give you a sign name instead of, my name is Judy. So instead of signing Judy, they just give you a sign name. And this time they gave me a sign name, which is this. And they used this because my hair was always held at the back and I was always on the books. I was not focusing on other people. And their friendship, them trying to reach out to me, them trying to talk to me, made me love the sign language. And I became, when I entered into their world, I even became the school captain. So I was there with them. And that's how I joined the deaf world. After high school, of course, I passed my KCSE, and I was hopeful again to join the university, but of course, I didn't perform to the best, but I found myself, I went to St. Paul's University, where I did communication and PR, and here I was thinking of the deaf people still, because I was looking at the communication gap between them and the hearing world. I would say we have only two cultures, the deaf world, because they are the ones who, when we talk about other disabilities, they hear. So as much as we talk about them, they are categorized in the hearing world by the deaf, and we have the hearing people. So we kind of have only two worlds. And I was looking at the communication between the deaf and the hearing. That's why I did communication. And in this process of doing communication, still my friends were deaf people, so I was kind of still moved. They would call me, somebody needs, even family gatherings, they would call me, we have a family gathering, come interpret for me. And through that I saw there was a need for me to advance my sign language skills now from school, because in school you're just given a certificate to show that you've been signing, but a qualification that you can be a sign language interpreter, you don't get that much. So I went to University of Nairobi and I did sign language, basics, sign language and interpretation level. Then there were only 2 levels. And I did them, and I knew that I joined this world with a reason, this deaf world with a reason. And I have been in different organizations focusing on disability, and I've been working as a sign language interpreter in different capacities. And in the middle of the deaf world, okay, when I started, I didn't tell you I'm married. I'm sorry, I'm married. And in the process of life, in 2018, I was expecting, and I was 5 months pregnant, and that's the time I lost my dad. And in the process of the emotional and the whole process of grief, I lost my pregnancy. And that's the time I realized, because majority of the people who would come to see me around that time, they were coming to see me because of my dad's loss, my deaf friends. But they didn't know what I was going through. I was mourning a double loss. And it took time for me to let it go. And when we would talk with them, and I opened up to a few that I had lost a pregnancy, then I realized in the deaf world, it's like a normal thing. Actually, the way they comfort you, it's normal, you will heal, get another baby. But for me, that was deeper than that, because they lose a pregnancy for different reasons. One may be because they was misdiagnosed. One is because you did something that you're not supposed to do. Sometimes it's because lack of information. So for that reason, I said, I think I need to look on this thing in a different angle.